show you how to do a fan wiring setup for your gas mask. So for example, you want a fan to help the ventilation in your mask. You want it to connect to a 9-volt battery. Now you see it's turning. I can feel the air blowing into the mask. I'll show you how it's done. First, some word of caution. This is electricity. You still have to be careful, but when we're talking about 9 volts, if I touch these wires, nothing happens. I don't get electrocuted. If I even touch the wires, nothing happens. Just like maybe tiny sparks, but nothing serious. So it's not dangerous, but still have some caution when you're working with electricity. So let's say you want to install these. Maybe you want the 14mm fan in your mask, but it's going to be the same whatever the size is. So if this is a big fan for example, a respirator box, the process is exactly the same. Now these fans, they look identical, but their wiring is different because this one is a PWM fan, and this is an FLX fan. So the difference is basically this one, you can regulate it with change in voltage. So this is a 12-volt fan. If you want to spin it harder, you can do, for example, 14 volts. If you want to spin it slower, you go like 10 or maybe even 5. It's not recommended to spin it much faster than 12 volt for prolonged times because it's not really meant for that, but you can always go lower, and at some point, if the voltage is too low, it just stops spinning. You cannot really damage it. This one, on the other hand, gets regulated through a signal cable. So this is always at 12 volts, and there's an extra cable on this one that gives pulses, and the amount of pulses indicates how fast the fan is spinning. So we'll start with the simple one. So over here you can see 3 cables. Basically the ground is black, positive is red, and the yellow is essentially a reading cable to let your computer know if it's spinning and how fast. But we don't need the yellow cable just for the electricity, so basically we can just cut it off. And if we also see here how they are connected, we can cut off the yellow cable, and you can just pull it out. Don't need it. Maybe just get rid of this as well. Now here's a connector for a 9-volt battery, which is this one, also called a block battery. You may have noticed 9-volt is not 12-volt, so this will spin a little bit lower than it could, but it's still fast enough for inside a gas mask for ventilation. Alternatively, if you want it at 12 volts, you should buy a power bank and just connect it to a USB or something, because as far as I know, there are no, at least not easily accessible 12-volt batteries. We should strip these a bit more. Just strip the wire. Oh, accidentally cut it off. These are fragile wires, so okay, here we go. Twist them a bit so they don't fray. We do the same on the ventilator. All right, now what we can do is just connect the red wire to the red wire. I like to bend it over and twist it again just to be sure that it will have a nice connection. For example, now if I just pull it, it doesn't come loose. And let's do the same for the black wire. Same process. I'll take some isolation tape so you don't get any short circuits. All right, now these tend to slide off if you pull like this, so I'm just gonna apply it again. I'll show you how to keep them in place. So what I tend to do is just group them together, and I'll tape them together as well. If you wanted to, you could tape the entire wire together. It would also allow you to like decide the length of the cable as well, but this will work. I'm not saying it's the most beautiful solution, but it's definitely functional. And if I now put on the battery, you will see it spinning. I can feel the air moving. Now when it comes to the PWM, the colors are not as straightforward. You can see there is no red cable, there is a black cable. So what do we connect it to? In this case, again, the black is of course the ground, but the yellow is not the signal cable. So depending on the brand, the colors can change a bit, but you should just look up whatever brand you buy, look up the PWM wiring, and then you get a diagram, and you know which cables are which. So in this case, the yellow is the 12 volts, and the black is the ground. So we can cut off the blue and green one. Make sure we don't cut the wrong ones. Now this time you connect the black wires together as usual, and you connect the red and yellow wire, which are both the 12 volt positive cables. All right. Same process with the tape, but just for demonstration purposes, if I now connect the battery, you will see it is spinning. So as you just saw, it's not very complicated. You won't blow up the house if you do the wiring wrong. Maybe you'll like potentially destroy the fan, but even that is not very likely. Yeah, so that's it. Best of luck, and I hope you will have a very comfortable gas mask.